trip. Overall, it was a great trip. I'll tell you more about that a little later. There's so much to do today. How do I parse it all in my head? I guess we'll start the day with food because I am starving. Well, I'm very hungry. Right now, I'm very hungry. All right, now it's time to unpack my bag. I'm finally gonna do something that I should have done a long time ago, which is I'm going to make a list of everything that I bring as I unpack the bag. So that way, I know that at the very least, I have the exact things that I used on my last trip for my next trip. And anything I forgot on this trip, which there were a few things, I'll remember next time. Actually, Brian and Andrew did that ages ago. And I've been meaning to do it myself, I just never got around to it. So today's the day. First order of business, my trip was great, except for one thing. I hurt my ankle on the first night. You'll see all the details in the video, but nothing serious. I've hurt my ankles a million times. I did have to cut the trip a little bit short, but it's still a full video. Next thing, in anticipation of the Sony a7S III, I got the Sony 24-105 f4 lens. I now have 3 lenses for Sony cameras. I got the 20mm f1.8, I got the 55mm 1.8, and I now have a standard zoom that covers everything. With just the lens I'm using right now, which is a wide lens, and this lens, I can do everything I need to do. The only problem is I have to constantly switch back and forth. So to that end, I got this lens because I want something that can do everything and be the main lens, and use these two when I really want that wide, shallow depth of field or beautiful shallow depth of field with more telephoto. See, with this 24-105, I can do this nice wide shot, but I can also go all the way in like that, but come all the way back out. That is just extremely useful, and you need to have at least one lens like that for your camera, at least in my experience. And there's a lot of lenses like that for Sony cameras. I ultimately decided on this one because it was the best combination of features, size, and weight. The Tamron 28-75, I can't do 28mm. I need 24 at least. The 24-70 f4, even though that's really small and light, it doesn't look good enough. The kit lens for the Sony also doesn't look good enough and doesn't have aperture abilities because it goes like f5.6. The Sony 24-70 f2.8, way too big, way too heavy. It's bigger than this, and this is pretty big. The Sigma 24-70 f2.8, beautiful, looks great, but way too big, way too heavy. The 24-105 f4, best combination of size, weight, focal range, and aperture. So, not to mention price. It was only like $900. So, the price is right. Well, it's very expensive, but. So a quick update on the whole reading comments or not. I have not read comments in like 2 weeks, and I hate to say it, but man, I feel so much better. I just do things on the vlog, and then if I have a thought in my head like, oh, what are people gonna think of that? Like, it doesn't matter because you won't know. So I apologize to those of you who have questions or like comments that are actually, you want me to actually read them and I'm not reading them. We'll find a workaround eventually, but right now it's just great for my state of mind, and I'm just like, yo, I'm just gonna go shave in the bathroom half naked, and if somebody doesn't like it, that's okay. Okay, from one Mr. Thomas Way, we have a package. If any of you guys are Patreon followers, you might have seen that I did a live interview with him. He's a photographer, and he talked about how he develops photos with manual film cameras. Well, I don't know if they're manual, but they're film cameras. And he was like, what if I sent you guys a film camera, you take pictures, send it back, and then I'll develop the pictures. And I was like, that is a great idea. So right here, he has sent a film camera, Nikon N90S, which at one point in time was $125 according to this random price tag. Ooh, the camera itself, oh, so interesting. Okay, awesome. A 50mm lens, and looks like 3 rolls of film. That is super cool. We're gonna take this on a trip in roughly 2 weeks. I just gotta talk to Thomas, find out how to do these. This is Thomas Way, by the way. This is not our Thomas. Oh man, that is gonna be so much fun. Manual photos. Pressed peanut sweepings. Thank you, Thomas. Cannot wait to take some pictures and for you to print them. It's gonna be good times. Okay, just the internet bill. I thought I signed up for paperless. So one thing I've never paid much attention to in any of my filming has been the dynamic range, which is basically how much of the detail can you see in the darkest portion and the lightest portion. You see how this window's like all blown out? I typically don't care if that's all blown out because nobody's gonna be looking at that anyway. What I do care about is things like these lights. Right now I'm shooting in something called HLG3. I don't even fully understand it, but the gist of it is you can still get detail in the light part of the image and still get here. Look what happens when I switch to the standard mode on the Sony, which is what I usually use. Look how much detail's lost, like all those cabinets is just gone now. But my face is exposed properly. With the GH5, for instance, the standard mode is just much better with dynamic range. So this is the GH5's just standard mode. Look how much better exposed the cabinets are and my face is still properly lit. That's another reason why I've always preferred the GH5. I can get a better look just straight out of the camera. But I was realizing, I was like, you know, I should probably care about dynamic range more than anybody because I'm always filming in situations where you need maximum dynamic range. Because I'm always shooting in situations like this where I'm in the shade and then there's a bunch of sun in the background and everything's just blown out. And you lose all the detail, right? So this is the GH5, just straight standard mode. Now, if I expose for the background, you retain all the detail in the background, but the image is so dark over here that it's kind of like, what's the point? The thing that you're supposed to be looking at is my face. But if you use something like HLG3, you can still kind of get, well, but anyways, it's supposed to allow you to keep the detail in the background and still keep this part a little less dark. I don't know how well it's working right now, but presumably it's supposed to be a little bit better. And in the past, I've never bothered with it before because I'm like, I don't have time to correct every single shot and make it look right. Because you have to do work on the log profiles. You can't just put it in there and it looks great straight out of the camera. But I was realizing in the last few episodes, I tweak literally every shot. I'm already tweaking every single shot. I can just take that extra step. I'm gonna need practice first to make sure I know how to expose when I'm actually out in the field. But so far, my initial experiments seem to be pretty positive. I'm starting to be able to get the footage to look as good as the standard profile and then still have a little more detail in the highlights. So, it's promising. It's very promising. So just for my own sake, let's do a few tests. Let's go outside and do a couple comparisons between standard GH5, standard Sony, and HLG Sony. And we will see what type of results we can get. Well, for any camera nerds watching, hoping to get some use out of that, that was probably close to useless. I didn't tell you what I did to the image, I didn't show you my settings, but I did get some practice and I'm kind of getting an idea of how the modes work. I don't know, I still have a lot to learn. As you can see, the Panasonic just comes out looking great right out of the camera. That's why I've done it for so many years. So I don't know, but the A7S III is coming. I need to be able to make that look at least as good as the standard Panasonic because it's got the other features I need, which are autofocus, 4K 120. So we'll see. Anyway, thank you for watching today's vlog. I'll see you next time. So first order of business.